One of the defining aspects of Jungkook's commercial success is his ability to generate physical album sales in an era where physical music consumption is in decline in most Western markets. American pop stars often struggle to move significant physical units, relying instead on streaming figures and digital downloads. Jungkook, however, inherits a cultural framework from K-pop that prioritizes physical albums as collectible items. These albums often include additional content such as photo cards, posters, and limited edition designs, which create tangible value for fans. The result is that Jungkook consistently ranks at the top of global album sales charts, even in territories where American artists dominate streaming platforms. For instance, his solo debut album not only broke pre-order records in South Korea, but also performed exceptionally well in Japan and the United States. In terms of raw numbers, Jungkook's album sales place him in direct competition with the top-selling American acts, many of whom struggle to sell even a fraction of his physical units. This disparity highlights a crucial point. Jungkook has introduced a hybrid model of consumption that merges global digital reach with localized traditions of physical ownership. This combination not only boosts his overall numbers, but also distinguishes him from American artists who rarely benefit from both simultaneously. While physical albums form a substantial part of his success, Jungkook also excels in digital downloads. The American market has largely moved away from downloads, with fans relying primarily on streaming subscriptions. However, in several international markets, particularly Japan, Southeast Asia, and parts of Europe, digital downloads remain an important metric. Jungkook has consistently topped iTunes charts worldwide within hours of release, often ranking number one in over 100 countries simultaneously. This kind of global chart dominance is rare for American artists, who may achieve high rankings in the US, but often struggle to replicate the same level of performance in diverse markets. Jungkook's success in downloads underscores his ability to bridge multiple consumption cultures, appealing to both fans who prefer ownership of digital files and those who rely on streaming platforms. Another overlooked factor in Jungkook's sales dominance is the broader integration of music with merchandise. In K-pop, music is not consumed solely as an auditory experience, but as a cultural product that encompasses visuals, branding, and identity. Jungkook's releases are often accompanied by visually rich campaigns, including high-quality music videos, concept photos, and fashion tie-ins. This creates a multiplier effect in terms of sales because each release becomes more than just a musical product. It becomes part of a cultural narrative that fans want to engage with tangibly. American artists, particularly those in mainstream pop, often separate music from merchandising, relying on concerts or brand endorsements as the main vehicle for merchandise sales. Jungkook, however, seamlessly integrates these elements, ensuring that his music release doubles as a merchandise release. This synergy drives up his overall sales figures, making him competitive in ways that extend beyond traditional album metrics. Jungkook's ability to outsell America's best is also tied to fan engagement models that are distinct from US industry practices. Through structured fan clubs, tiered presale systems, and community-driven promotion, Jungkook has mobilized a base of fans who actively participate in boosting sales numbers. This differs from the US model, where marketing campaigns tend to focus on mainstream media exposure and radio airplay, rather than mobilizing grassroots consumer action. The results are evident in pre-order statistics. Jungkook's albums often sell hundreds of thousands to millions of copies before official release. This kind of momentum ensures strong first-week sales that can surpass the cumulative totals of many American pop albums. By contrast, American artists typically depend on extended promotion cycles and gradual sales accumulation. To contextualize Jungkook's achievements, it is useful to compare them directly with high-profile American pop stars. Consider established acts who dominate the Billboard Hot 100. While they achieve strong streaming numbers, their physical album sales often remain modest. Even superstar releases can fall short of Jungkook's combined physical and digital numbers when global sales are accounted for. For example, American artists frequently focus on the US market to secure a #1 Billboard debut, but their performance in non-English speaking regions is inconsistent. Jungkook, however, launches releases that chart simultaneously in the US, UK, Japan, South Korea, and numerous other territories. The cumulative effect of his global-first approach gives him sales power that rivals or even surpasses the most successful US-based releases. A final component of Jungkook's sales strategy is the deliberate use of scarcity and collectability, techniques that are less common in American pop. By offering limited editions, exclusive photo cards, and region-specific variations, Jungkook creates a culture of urgency and collection among his fans. This approach not only boosts initial sales, but also sustains momentum over time, as fans seek to complete their collections or obtain rare items. American pop stars, while occasionally releasing deluxe editions, rarely engage in such structured scarcity. As a result, their album sales plateau quickly after the initial release, whereas Jungkook's sales continue to rise over extended periods. This structural difference gives Jungkook a unique advantage in overall commercial performance. If sales figures establish Jungkook as a dominant force in music, streaming metrics further cement his position as a global leader. In the 20th century music economy, streaming is the single most important metric for determining an artist's cultural relevance, market reach, and staying power. Platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube have replaced physical and digital downloads as the primary mode of music consumption, particularly among younger demographics. Within this landscape, Jungkook has emerged not only as a formidable competitor to American pop stars, but as an artist whose streaming performance frequently surpasses theirs. To understand why Jungkook is outstreaming America's best, one must examine the structure of global streaming ecosystems, the data that reflects his dominance, and the mechanisms through which he has sustained high streaming numbers across multiple regions and platforms. Streaming is not merely a metric of popularity. It is the backbone of the contemporary music industry. Billboard chart placements, award considerations, and even touring demand are often determined by streaming numbers. Record labels in the United States view Spotify streams and YouTube views as central to shaping release strategies and measuring an artist's success. For Jungkook to outperform many American pop stars in this area is significant because it means he has surpassed them in the very metric that defines music consumption in the digital era. Unlike album sales, which can be influenced by promotional tactics such as deluxe editions and limited releases, streaming reflects consistent engagement. A song that sustains millions of daily streams indicates long-term relevance rather than short-term hype. Jungkook's catalog, though relatively small compared to American superstars with years of solo discographies, has nevertheless demonstrated this kind of sustained engagement. Spotify serves as the industry's most referenced benchmark for streaming success, given its global reach and public accessibility of data. Within hours of release, Jungkook's solo tracks have consistently broken records on the platform. His single 7 became one of the most streamed songs in its first week of release, surpassing not only fellow K-pop acts, but also some of the biggest names in American pop. What makes this achievement particularly notable is the efficiency of Jungkook's streams. Many American artists achieve high numbers through extended promotion cycles or massive collaborations with multiple stars. Jungkook, by contrast, often accomplishes similar or greater results with a smaller promotional footprint, relying instead on organic fan engagement and global anticipation. Additionally, Jungkook's performance on Spotify is not regionally limited. Whereas many American pop stars see the majority of their streams concentrated in the United States, Jungkook's streams are widely distributed across Asia, Europe, South America, and North America. This even distribution reflects his appeal as a global act rather than a regionally dominant one, allowing his numbers to sustain consistency over time rather than fluctuating with US market trends. YouTube remains one of the largest music platforms in the world, particularly outside the United States, where it often serves as the primary means of consuming music. Jungkook's releases regularly attract hundreds of millions of views within weeks, rivaling or surpassing the view counts of major American artists. The difference lies in viewer retention. Many American music videos generate a surge of views upon release, but fail to sustain engagement. Jungkook's videos, however, tend to maintain steady daily viewership, reflecting not just initial hype, but repeated consumption. This is a critical distinction because repeat viewership indicates that audiences are returning to the content, reinforcing Jungkook's position as a long-term streaming powerhouse. Moreover, the aesthetic presentation of Jungkook's videos, often blending narrative storytelling with stylized performance, encourages international audiences to engage regardless of language barriers. American music videos frequently rely on lyrical comprehension to drive engagement, whereas Jungkook's productions emphasize visual universality, ensuring they resonate globally. While Spotify and YouTube dominate the conversation, Apple Music and regional platforms such as Melon, South Korea, Line Music, Japan, and JioSaavn, India, contribute significantly to Jungkook's streaming footprint. On Apple Music, Jungkook has charted globally in ways that few American artists achieve, topping charts in countries that historically favored domestic acts. For instance, Jungkook's tracks often secure #1 placements in Japan and Southeast Asia, territories where American artists sometimes struggle to gain traction due to linguistic and cultural differences. By succeeding on both Western and non-Western platforms, Jungkook demonstrates an unparalleled ability to unify global markets under one streaming umbrella. One of the most important distinctions between Jungkook and many American stars is the longevity of his streaming performance. Many American hits peak quickly upon release, often within the first 2 weeks, before declining sharply as newer songs enter rotation. Jungkook's tracks, however, exhibit what industry analysts call a long tail effect. They maintain relevance and sustain millions of daily streams for months after release. This phenomenon can be attributed to several factors. Cross-market promotion. Jungkook's songs receive simultaneous promotion in Asia, the US, and Europe, ensuring that the release cycle extends beyond a single region. Fan-driven engagement. His fan base organizes streaming campaigns that not only boost numbers initially, but also maintain momentum over time. Replay value. His music blends multiple genres and production styles, appealing to diverse listeners who return to the tracks for different experiences. This long-term engagement distinguishes Jungkook from many American artists whose songs fade after initial bursts of promotion. Language remains a barrier for many American pop stars who primarily release in English. Jungkook's approach, however, leverages multilingual accessibility. His English-language songs, such as 7, enable easy entry into US and European markets. while his Korean releases cater to domestic and regional audiences. The result is a hybrid catalog that captures both audiences simultaneously, driving up cumulative streaming numbers. This dual strategy is not common among American stars, who rarely venture beyond English-language releases. By doing so, Jungkook ensures that his music resonates globally while avoiding the limitations of linguistic exclusivity. Collaborations also contribute to Jungkook's streaming success, but his approach differs from American norms. While US stars often collaborate with each other to secure radio, play, and streaming synergy, Jungkook selects collaborations strategically, often with artists who enhance his global profile rather than simply amplify his US presence. For example, when he partners with international artists, the result is cross-market streaming that benefits both parties. Unlike American collaborations, which tend to saturate the domestic market, Jungkook's partnerships broaden his footprint across multiple continents, thereby elevating his cumulative numbers. Direct comparison with American artists provides clarity on Jungkook's position. Several US superstars release singles that dominate US charts but rank modestly in Asia or Latin America. Jungkook, conversely, charts simultaneously across the US, UK, South Korea, Japan, Brazil, and Indonesia. The combined weight of these regions allows him to achieve streaming figures that are competitive and often superior to those of America's most successful acts. For instance, whereas an American artist may secure 1 billion Spotify streams over several months, Jungkook can achieve similar milestones more quickly because his base of global listeners streams his songs simultaneously at scale. This distributed international streaming power highlights his unique position as a global rather than regional superstar. Streaming success is not only about raw numbers but also about visibility within platforms. Jungkook consistently secures placement on prominent Spotify playlists such as Today's Top Hits, which exposes him to millions of casual listeners beyond his fanbase. These placements are determined algorithmically, based on high initial engagement and sustained performance. American stars often rely on label influence and industry relationships to secure such placement. Jungkook's entries, however, are frequently earned through organic momentum, which speaks to his ability to generate widespread interest without requiring disproportionate industry intervention. Once included in high-visibility playlists, his tracks benefit from algorithmic reinforcement, sustaining high streaming numbers for extended periods. This creates a feedback loop in which success generates further exposure, further solidifying his advantage.